Are you there? I'm glad to be back with you this evening. Peculiar thing happened today. I went to the salon. I wouldn't let just anyone loose on this beautiful, sweet, and fine creation. And while I was there, I began to ponder something that had been challenging me, since I was a child. Some thoughts I had and some things I thought that maybe you'd be interested in as well. And one of those things is the migratory pattern of the male hair follicle. And so I began to do a little internal research as I researched the crevices of my brain as the clippers buzzed above my head, and all so closely to one of the finest elements that makes up my being. And again, that is my forehead, as you can see there. It's quite extraordinary, and I appreciate it more than maybe you can or do. So with that thought in mind, and with these kinds of serious issues, and I don't know if you've noticed, but I also have trimmed my facial hair just somewhat and somewhat and slightly. I have trimmed my facial hair. So if we could share a moment about this migratory pattern, and in doing so, I would return and revert back to a previous conversation I just had with you, and I said about going to the salon. You wouldn't take a Triumph motorcycle to a Harley Davidson establishment for service. You wouldn't take a Cadillac to a Kia establishment for service. And you surely wouldn't take this to just any ordinary barber. This requires expertise. This requires experience. This requires something greater than, maybe greater than anything else. I'm going to move on. What I have noticed in following the migratory patterns of the human hair follicle is that very often there is an escapism mode that seems to drive the intelligence mechanism underneath and lying below, as well as the creative wave of motion that is moving these hair follicles in the direction that they're going. Oh, that's mind-boggling, ladies and gentlemen, and I, for one, am amazed that you are able, coherently able to follow me in this discussion, and I think that proves that we have educated one another quite respectably in the times that we have shared together, if you know what I mean. So if that's the case, and I'm trying to manipulate my camera just a little so that you can get a better view of me. I know it's a struggle, and I'm going to just try to back off just a little. I hate to do that sometimes because, as you can see, you get to see the magnificent, the magnum opus of the human skull. It's beautiful. Quite extraordinary. So there we go. I think by George, that's Professor Prism, sure enough. Now, as Professor Prism, I have to educate you, or I have failed to do the duties that I have been, I guess, that I have been assigned to do, and I am responsible for, if you understand what I mean. With that in mind, oh, I'm sorry. What you've just witnessed is an unconscious scientific attempt. Well, I shouldn't say attempt, it's more like a success. But it was an unconscious scientific experience that you were watching, whereby I was speaking and then imaging this masterpiece toward you through the camera lens, and at the same time multitasking at its highest level. I was, there it goes again. I don't know if you can see it, but there it goes again. I am searching and researching the very ongoing migratory patterns of the human hair follicle. As we speak, though I'm doing most of the speaking as we speak plainly together, and as I look you in the face and you look me in the face, there it was. I was searching and watching as one hair follicle after another migrated in a set pattern, fleeing, one might say, and I did say it, and I may have been the first to say it, and I don't want all the credit, but you know, I may very well trademark this, but fleeing from the foreground of my forehead. Now, what we must also understand as we study this is that the lower regions of hair follicles that we have called, and rightly so, are my eyebrows, and then underneath that I have eyelashes. They did not move in the reverse direction, and were not, as I was watching them with the eagle eye and the eagle eye that I have right here. See it? There it is. And see this one? There it is. Now, as remarkable as that sounds, it's exactly true. It's perfectly true and abnormally true, as if it is truthful in everything and what we're talking about. So why, the question is, why we're working toward our hypothesis, if you don't understand what's going on here in this case of higher learning. Why then does the hair follicle of the upper region of this massive and extraordinary forehead, scalp, we might say, why does the hair follicles there retreat while the hair follicles here and here only move in tight circles and always return to their home ground? There's the question. Now we can form a hypothesis. And the best way we could do that is to say that all hair follicles are not the same. When I have deep revelations like that, I just don't know what to do with myself. So if we have now established hierarchically, that means with some proof and some sense of connecting the dots, as I think we agree that we have, then that's some very nice eye movement. But anyway, then what would our hypothesis be? It would be this, that evidently the design of the human hair follicle all hair follicles, though created equally, are not necessarily similarly designed. That each hair follicle is unique in many ways and likely patterns itself after those of like shape, location, color, texture, and peculiarity. Now that doesn't make one better than the other. Different, yes. Similar, yes. Distinct, yes. Yes, there are hair follicles that do stink. But that's an entirely different chapter in a different class in a different time. What we're speaking of here are this region of hair follicles. Now, if I could some way increase the lighting here, and I won't be able to, but I think you can see that I've had some migration probably since we last spoke. And we'll deal with that when the time comes. Now, so return to my better. I want to share with you here as I close in this segment is that you treat your hair fairly, please. Don't chase it away. It'll go as soon as it wants. Don't discriminate against your hair. Don't humiliate it. Please, please respect each hair follicle for its uniqueness, for its given purpose, and for its function. And I think in doing that, we will all be better people. Thank you. And I will see you soon.